Companies that create an ICP, an ideal customer profile, when they actually create an ICP to mobilize the go-to-market strategy, they see on average a 721% increase in top of funnel inquiries. A 721% increase. It's no wonder I'm really obsessed with ideal customer profiles and ICPs as a core growth strategy. This is something I go in depth into on how to create an ICP inside of my SaaS go-to-market program. But for those of you that are still skeptical, for those of you that are just getting started, I wanted to go through the three core principles that you need to follow to actually create the first version of your ICP so that you can start to get started in this journey and start to see some of these results so that maybe you'll invest more into building an ICP. And I'm going to cover these three principles on how to create one in this episode. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you navigate and accelerate the path to the next stage of growth with an unstoppable strategy. If you are new to this channel, I drop an episode every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, all about growing SaaS businesses, exiting SaaS businesses, starting SaaS businesses. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Also, if you are already part of the community, if you're already part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching program, welcome back. It's really great to have you here. Now, here's the thing. The year where I was running my SaaS business, Tout App, the year we grew 300%, which led to raising our Series B, led by Andreessen Horowitz. We used ICP as a core part of our strategy. The 2 years where once we sold Tout App to Marketo and I joined the executive team at Marketo and we did a 2-year transformation that led to Marketo's sale to Adobe for $4.75 billion because we got growth going and profits growing. The core to the strategy was, again, the ideal customer profile. It's no wonder that when an ICP strategy is used to drive growth for a SaaS business, people see up to 721% increase in top of funnel inquiries. And that obviously flows through to everything else that you do. An ICP strategy is a very, very strong strategy. This is why I'm a big believer in it. I've seen it work well at Tout App, at Marketo, and all the other SaaS businesses that I coach right now. So in this episode, I'm going to give you the three principles on how to create your first version of your ICP so you can get a taste of it, see some success. And then if you want to dig more into it, you can check out my SaaS go-to-market program, which I'll tell you about all the way at the end. So if you're excited to dig in on the three principles that you can start applying today, go ahead and smash that like button and let's get into principle number 1. So the first thing you want to really answer in terms of your ICP as you're crafting your ideal customer profile is the who. Who is the most important question? Who are the people that are out there or the types of accounts that are out there who have these three things? First, who are the people that have this urgent problem? Urgent meaning they need to solve it now, not tomorrow, not someday, not a nice to have, but this is an urgent problem that they need to solve, the problem that you're solving through your software and your SaaS business. The second thing is who are these people that have the urgent and important problem? Meaning something could be an urgent problem, but it may not be important, so they won't really focus on it. People tend to focus on what's important and urgent, right? And the third thing is it needs to be frequent enough. If they have an urgent and important problem and they solve it, and then they're like, cool, now I never have to think about it ever again, then it's probably not a very good subscription business, which is what SaaS businesses are. They won't keep paying you. They'll want to pay you once and that's it, and they'll move on. That doesn't make for a great SaaS business strategy. So you want to find and define as principle number 1, who are the people that have the urgent, important, and frequent problem. That is like more than half the battle. If you can just do that and really list it out, you are well on your way to implementing an ICP strategy to grow your SaaS business. So once you've defined the who, which is who are these companies that have the urgent problem, the important problem, and the frequent problem, you'll hopefully start to see some patterns. And the pattern should form into what these companies are, what categorizes these companies, what are the characteristics around these companies. And that's principle number 2. What you want to dig into is what are some of the characteristics that really define this type of company. That includes things like firmographic data and demographic data. Firmographic data kind of goes into how big is the company, what's the revenue of the company, what industry they're in, and demographic data goes into where they're located, right? Is it a North American company, a European company, an Asian company? So it kind of digs into on both sides on what is the characteristics that defines your ideal customer and company. It could also go into things like a specific person or a title that really articulates the person that would be having this urgent and important problem and frequent problem and needs to solve it, and therefore for that job title in that company that you want to be going after. So principle number one is starting to get an abstract idea of who your ideal customers are based on these set of characteristics. And then principle number two is fleshing that out further based on firmographics and demographics. Let me just pause here for a second. If you're starting to see how powerful an ideal customer profile strategy is, because it forces you to do some research, make some strategic decisions, make some choices on who you want to go after and not go after instead of trying to be anything for everyone. Be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and also hit me with a yes in the comments below with any other insights that you've gotten around an ICP. And by the way, if you are thinking about building out an ideal customer profile, and if you're starting to think like, man, how do I actually do all of these things? Be sure to check my SaaS go-to-market program. That's my coaching program where we go a lot more in depth into how to build out an ICP as part of a broader strategy for your go-to-market strategy, right? So I'll tell you more about this at the end of the video, but let's go into principle number three, first of all. So far, we've gone into who has the urgent, important, and frequent problem. Then we started to think about, well, what are the characteristics that define these people? What's their firmographic information, demographic information? And hopefully this starts to flesh out some sort of a profile around these people, these ideal customers. This is where principle number three comes in, because a lot of times people just stop there and then kind of ignore the ideal customer profile and then just like kind of does a bunch of blind marketing and sales activities. The true power in ICP comes when you actually mobilize it, right? When you actually mobilize it, that's where principle number three comes in. What you want to really get into is, especially if you're an early stage SaaS business, which is probably what you are if you're watching this, what you want to figure out is, out of these people who have the urgent and important and frequent problem, who are the people that tend to be early tech adopters? Because here's the thing. Let's just say you really narrow down on, like, if you're, texting software, right? I was working with a client, they're in the texting space. If you're texting software, you could narrow down your ICP to, look, we're going to go after tech companies who have already invested in sales engagement software. But that could be a very, very wide group of companies, because at this point, sales engagement is actually a pretty mature category. It wasn't when we started Tout Out, but today it is. But out of those companies, there's going to be a subset of those companies who have this urgent, important, and frequent problem, but tend to be early tech adopters. So what I would go look for is, what are some newer technologies beyond sales engagement that they're already starting to use? Doesn't have to be competitive to you, but it can be complementary to you. And if they're using those technologies, it will signal to you that out of the 1,000 companies that I can go sell into, here's the 50 or 100 that tend to be early adopters of technology. If we go to them, they're more likely to buy. Because as a startup, let's just be honest, you probably don't have a full enterprise sales process. You might not have SOC 2 compliance. You might not have a perfectly rounded out product. So what you really want are the early adopters instead of the people that are going to tie up all your time because they want all the things available where you're just not there yet. So you want to start building momentum with these early adopters. And so what you want to do, and this whole thing, each of these principles are a filtering process, right? So first is just figure out who are the people that are your perfect customers that have this urgent, important, frequent problem. Then further define them with firmographic and demographic data, the characteristics, and then further define them as saying, okay, who are the people that have all those things, plus tend to be early tech adopters. And the best way to figure out who is an early tech adopter is to figure out what technologies they're using. And the easiest way to do that is using a tool called BuiltWith. BuiltWith is an amazing tool. I'll link to it below. You just have to install it. When you go to a company's website, it'll tell you all the technologies they're using. And there's hundreds of technologies that it can detect. And based on that, you can start to understand if a company is using cutting edge technology. And if they are, they tend to be early adopters and are more likely to buy your cutting edge technology to gain an extra edge, right? When you combine these three things, principle number one, who are these people with an urgent, important, and frequent problem? Drive further characteristics, including firmographic and demographic data, and then start to figure out who are the early adopters. What you end up with is a target list of ideal customers that you can go after. What you end up with is a profile that you can define. So when an inbound lead comes in, you can compare it to see if they fit into your ICP or not, so you can better prioritize those leads. When you do this, you can actually start to run a much more efficient go-to-market machine. You can start to actually drive your marketing dollars, your attention, your time on the customers that matter. And because of that, you'll be able to accelerate your growth. So now you know how to actually build out your ICP, or at least the first version of it. Building an ICP is one of the core pieces to build out your overall go-to-market strategy. So if you are building out a SaaS business and you're looking to drive growth and you're building out that go-to-market machine, the one thing I'll tell you to do is check out my SaaS go-to-market coaching program. Inside of the program, we do three things. The first thing we do is we really go into defining what your ICP is, into a lot more detail than this one video, obviously. The second thing we do is we take that ICP and that market, we help you do the research and create your manifesto. Manifesto is essentially a strategic narrative. It's a way to get the attention of all the people in your ICP. And then we actually teach you how to mobilize that manifesto with what we call a Broadway show. That means driving your inbound machine, your outbound machine, your advertising machine, using the ICP and the manifesto that we help you create. All three of these things together, your ICP, your manifesto, and your Broadway show, create a very differentiated go-to-market machine that helps you accelerate your growth. So if you're interested in that and you're in that stage where you really want to accelerate your growth, you want to build out a repeatable, predictable go-to-market machine, what I invite you to do is book a one-on-one strategy call with me. I have a few slots available. All you need to do is go to tkkader.com/GTM. You'll get details around my SaaS go-to-market program, how to get more deep into building an ICP and mobilizing it. So all you have to do is go to that page. I'll also link to it below, tkkader.com/GTM. And you just need to apply. And if you'll have to answer a couple of questions just to make sure that you're the right fit for the program. We can actually help you. And when you do that, we'll get on a strategy call, and then we can talk about where your SaaS business is, where you're looking to get to, and I can tell you if you're a good fit for the program, and we can take it from there. So if you're building a SaaS business, you want to accelerate growth, be sure to check out my SaaS go-to-market program. That's what I wanted to cover today on why you should think about an ideal customer profile, the 3 principles that you can follow to start to build it out for yourself, and the resource, my SaaS go-to-market program that you can join so that you can actually follow the whole strategy instead of just the ICP. I want to thank you for watching this episode. If you got value from it, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And also, it just means the world to me and my team. We put a lot of effort into these videos. And also, if you have a friend, a co-founder, or another SaaS founder that would get value from this video, please share it with them. Feel free to tweet it out. We have a click to tweet link down below. It would be awesome if you just tweet this video out as well. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business, but when you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode.